Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Hood Healing.
Buenas tardes. Is my mic on? Yeah. Buenas tardes.
No, wait. I don't
Is
think
it
it's
on?
on.
No, I don't think so either.
Let's see.
Hello? There it is. Now you can hear
It
me.
sounds low, though, for some reason. You sure it's on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I feel like mine's louder than yours. Let's try it again.
Testing one, two, three.
Okay, there we
There
go.
you go.
There we go. Well, we are. We have a little bit of fan noise in the background because it's hot again, as per usual. Don't ask us why this global warming is not meant for people.
I want it to be cold
Chubby
already.
people like me. Check on your fat friends, please. We're not okay. Well, welcome to Hood Healing. Today we're going to talk about our best friends and healing with our best friends,
And by that, we mean the furry friends.
our furry friends. And the other day I saw a meme and it was like, my therapist telling me that getting animals is a trauma response. And I was like, I feel personally attacked. So as many of you may or may not know, I have 4 cats and 2 dogs. Our dogs are Apollo and Charlie. They are sequestered outside currently because they bark. Well, Charlie's the barker. And, oh my Lord, it sounds like somebody's mixing something, but I think it's my neighbor. Anyhow, and we have 4 cats. 2 are kind of like belong to the streets. Miko and Swarley. I did not pick that name. That cat used to be my sister's. And we have 2 other cats that are the more pampered cats. And that is Guillermo de la Cruz.
Your favorite?
Well, he's just very tenderhearted. He's a big, fluffy orange cat. And he sometimes makes appearances on our social media account. And he's currently staring at me, giving me like the death stare. And then his brother, his roommate, as we call him, Nando, is a black cat who is just like this. I can't. He's a cat that turned Frank from a non-cat person to a cat person because that cat just was like the sweetest little kitten to him. And I think that healed part of his heart that needed that little tender love. So anyhow,
Tell us a little bit about how your animals have helped you heal.
well, let's first, before I do that, let's talk about your animals.
All right. So we have Mr. Sully.
James P. Sullivan.
That's correct. Sully, and we got Sully when he was a baby. So he's an original in our household. Sophie is a rescue dog. We actually rescued her from Arizona. She's from the hood.
Sophia, the hooker with a heart of gold.
That's right, Mrs. Sophie.
She has a very serious underbite. I think we need to post pictures of the animals on our Instagram and our TikTok today so people can get the visual.
Oh, what they look like.
But we always joke around that Sophie is like the old hooker on the street who gives advice. I'm sorry, that was sex workers. She just has like a very rough look to her, but she's the sweetest thing you've ever.
That's Susie's best friend right there.
She's so sweet and she's very caring and loving.
Yeah.
But the streets have not been kind to that girl.
She has a barking problem that we're trying to work on.
She has very high anxiety from PTSD.
Yeah. But I mean, I love both dogs. Both of them.
Yeah. Well, I've always had a cat. My dad is like a collector of animals. Now he's like, he doesn't want to have animals because he can't handle what happens when they die. He has a really hard time with it. And, he just doesn't have the emotional capacity to handle the, challenges of having a pet because you do get very, attached to them. And like I think it's been 4 years now. We had a cat named Oliver. He was another orangey. I've had lots of orange cats throughout my lifetime, so I have a very special affinity for them. But he was like my baby, my
Yeah.
OG baby, and we had to put him to sleep, and that was so devastating. Even Frank cried. It was so sad. And so, we get very attached to them, but also, like, animals love you unconditionally.
Yeah.
You can have like the worst day and act like the biggest asshole, and they're still like,
Yeah, when as soon as you walk in, they're excited to see you, whether you're an asshole or not.
I know. I yell at Apollo sometimes because he'll just do stuff like, I'll be cooking dinner and he'll want to be like, right. I don't know why he does this. I'm like, bro, if you really trying to kill me out here, I feed you, right?
That's Sophie with Susie. Susie will be cooking, and Sophie's right there. Like Susie had maybe almost stepped on her, like I don't know how many times.
Yeah. So he basically like will jump, or, he'll like go between my legs. Like if I'm walking, he's like trying to, I don't know what he's trying to do. But if I yell at him, he does this little face where he's like, "Oh, mama, please." He does his little sad face. We always say he has a weird look on his face that he looks like he's trying to figure out how to pay the rent.
He
Oh,
grew up with Sully. They
yeah.
both graduated together. They went to school together, got their diplomas, and they still don't listen. All that school for nothing.
We paid like $75 to go to PetSmart puppy class, and these fools are still wilding out
It
here.
was enjoyable though to see those weird people, huh? Remember those weird people?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was like Children of the Corn. Like there was this family that we're going to hell for this. So this weird family, like the parents never talked, the little girl talked for them, and I thought, well, maybe this family like doesn't speak English and the child's translating, because like we know how that goes. But
But they were like,
but they spoke English.
I know, some big
So
white
I was
folks
like,
too.
okay, what's going on here? Like it was really interesting, and
The
they
little girl
had
would even snap her fingers at her dad.
it,
It's fucking crazy, dude.
she was like 10 years old. She was like running the household. I was like, what is going on here? And they had two like they look like Doberman pinchers. And anyways, it was really interesting. And then there was one girl, like a younger woman, who had a husky that was like so off the hook. I was like, I know our dogs, and our dogs, I think, were just scared. Like we were like the mean Mexican parents, like
I mean, Sully listens a little, but I think he's just so spoiled that Susie's like, that's why he doesn't listen, because you have him that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the best.
¿Qué va a pasar when you have your baby?
That's what everybody keeps saying. Honda says that she's like, every time I think of Sully, I think of what is that pet movie? It's a cartoon, Secret Life of Pets. She's like, I just see Sully being so sad in a corner, like when you guys have your baby, because he needs your guys' attention all the time.
Yeah, he's gonna be all depressed. But they get like, the thing is that when you have your animals, like they adjust, like they need that a little bit. It's like people,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about animals, like, we fostered Guillermo and Nando before we adopted them, and their history was that like they got found in a cardboard box, literally. And so they were pretty much raised by people, like they were bottle fed and everything. So I think that's why Nando's so good with around people. Like we're having a movie night, and this cat's literally big chilling out there, watching everybody, running in front of the screen back and forth so people can see him. He's a little character. But Guillermo's very like scared of people. Like it takes a while. Like today when he went up to you, I was like, oh, this is a big step for him, because he is not really, that kind of cat that will go up and do that. But
especially when James is around.
Oh shit, he's like, run for cover. We have a friend that's very like loud and has a lot of energy, and I'm like, dude, you need to bring that energy level down if you want to get around the cats, because they're not having it. But I do think like when we're like as people and we've had trauma, our neurological systems get so activated that it's the same for animals, especially cats. I've read that they're much more like sensitive. So when, he obviously something happened to him because he's just like terrified. It took him a while to even he would either it was so funny because like if I would move him it like move them together to like clean out because we had like a little playpen for them. I'd clean it out or whatever, and I would move them into like the guest room. He would cling onto Nando so tight, like literally like grab him. And it was so cute, but at the same time, it's like he was so terrified of everything. And then little by little, we just kind of like made it where we tried not to, like if this is a thing, when I clean on Saturdays, that cat disappears for like 4 hours, legit.
Guillermo?
Oh yeah, he'll just go under the couch and he'll come out all sweaty because he's been like seriously having a panic attack under there. So I really try to like a lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of trap him in like the bathroom or the guest room so that he's just like somewhere and I do what I got to do and then I put him in our room and usually he's like sleeping and stuff. But, I think when there's been times that have been really like hard or, like when I had COVID, he was like there.
Guillermo was right.
Oh, he was all up in the business, crying at the door, and I would put a mask on. I read that if cats do get it, they said it's a little bit harder for them to get it, but if they do, it's pretty mild. So he was literally just chilling, sleeping with me, but he would cry because he kind of knew like I was a little bit, sad.
Yeah.
Because it was my birthday weekend. I was supposed to be.
And have you missed the Dodger game?
I wasn't depressed about that.
Yeah, you were.
Especially after the experience y'all had in the parking lot trying to get out of there. I was like, thank God I'm not there.
I think Susie had a fucking anxiety attack. Like she was just like, "We're never coming here again. We're never gonna. Like, next time you want to watch a game, we'll watch them play the Angels." And I was like, "That's not fun because they're gonna beat the Angels." You know what I'm saying? Like, but after a while, after we gave her a bag of hot Cheetos, she was able to calm down.
Please direct hate mail somewhere else. Yeah, so I mean, but it's so crazy how they sense like your moods, everything about you. Like, there's been I remember when Charlie was pretty young. I think she was maybe like a year old. Frank found out that one of his aunts was sick, had cancer, and he got off the phone with his mom and he started crying. And she ran right over to him and was like licking him and just trying to like cheer him up. It was so crazy because it was like, how do they know this stuff? And even now, like, there's been times where Apollo just looks worried when I cry. He's just like, what's going on? But Charlie's very much like, I need, like, she'll put her paw, like, she's hitting me, like, stop, stop. I'm like, let me feel my feelings, Charlie. But I just think about the fact that they just love us so much. We can, they're not sitting here like, I feel like when you are as a person, like, people love you, it always feels conditional.
Yeah, and we always talk about how Sophie judges us when we're eating. She just really sits there like, "Fuck, y'all eating again." But Sophie's the same way as Charlie is. Whenever like Susie will cry or I'll cry, like she'll come over and she'll put her little head on our thigh, or she'll just be there trying to get in, and her eyes are all watery or whatever. But Sully's in his own world. You know what I'm saying? This is Sully's world. We just live in it. But Sophie was a rescue dog from Arizona, like I said. And it's crazy because the same way that you say Nando or Guillermo has some type of trauma, I think Sophie does too, because she doesn't like guys. Like it takes her a while to come around. Like she's good with like Caesar, she's good with Frank, she's good with Susie's dad. And some of the well, she used to be good with my brother too. but it takes her a while to get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because when we first got her, I remember I got home from work one day and I had taken off my belt, and she was looking at me while I was taking off my belt. And as soon as I took off my belt, like she literally ran underneath the bed and she was like shaking. I told Susie she must have gotten abused by maybe not her prior owner, or someone must have been hitting her with the belt, because
Oh,
she
poor
literally
thing.
booked it when I took off my belt. But she's good now. I think
Yeah.
she doesn't like people though. Like whenever we have people at home, like she'd rather be in the room than to be out there. Sully loves people, so he'll want to be petted. He'll be crying if you don't touch
He wants
him.
to be
Like,
picked up.
yeah, he wants to be picked up. And he when he was a baby, he didn't like to cuddle. He likes to cuddle now.
Oh yeah. He's yeah, number one cuddle bunny. Um
And I think for us, I think Sully was he came in at the right time. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Because I remember we had got him after, I believe it was after Susie's miscarriage. Um, we we thought we would get a dog. You know what I mean? Like just to comfort her, stay with her for a little bit. And I think he really helped her like a lot. But it's crazy because now, whenever one of them gets sick or something, like I told Susie, like this is it, like no more dog, like no more, because I don't know what I'll
It
do,
yeah, it's
you know.
hard cuz it does take a toll on you like when so when I got Oliver, I was still single. I just started dating Frank, and this cat was like not having it in the beginning. Like Frank would spend the night and he would run across the head of the bed in the middle of the night and slap him in the face and then run away. And this cat would sleep on top of me, next to me, wanted me to spoon him. Like he slept with me until the day he died. Like he was, oh my gosh. And I remember like even when I had Emilio, he was like he would sit next to my belly. And when I had when we were like, hey man, we got the baby in the room, he for like a month stopped grooming himself, which is like a sign of stress for cats, because he was like so used to being there. And I just said, look, literally, I did this one day. I said, look, I love you so much, but I got to take care of this baby, but you'll be able to sleep with us again one day. And, and then he was okay. And then of course, yeah, he came back, and then we were in a queen bed.
And now all your dogs
Oh
and
my
cats sleep with you
gosh.
guys.
We were in a queen bed with Oliver sleeping in there, and then we had Frank and the baby, and it was like, oh my gosh. And then we got Charlie, and then Charlie was there too. But yeah, but now it's like us, Apollo, Charlie, and the two
And your
cats.
dogs are not little
They're
dogs.
not little
They're
dogs.
big
They sleep at
dogs.
the feet, but they're still big. Charlie's a big old girl, and she likes to be in the middle of us sometimes. But I feel like even just I and to me, holding a cat like that, it just loves you and is like likes to be held. That's Guillermo. But when we lost Oliver, I just was so devastated. I remember telling Frank, I never want another cat. There's never going to be another cat that's going to be like him, because I could literally, like, he was a lap cat. He would go outside every now and then, but he would sit on my lap at night while I watched TV. He'd let me hold him like a baby. He'd follow me in the morning to the bathroom and wait for me to come out. And then, he would follow me around the house. And he was just like literally my first baby. And when I lost him, I remember for a whole year I cried. I couldn't even talk about him. I couldn't look at pictures of him. Like I would just start crying. And this is funny because I remember I went to work, and this is like a newer coworker that I hadn't. She was like, "How was your weekend?" And I started crying, because I just lost him, and I'm like, "Oh, I lost, my cat," and she was just looked at me like I was a crazy person. And then um, someone was like, "What, who did you lose this weekend?" And I'm like, "Oh, my Oliver." And they're like, "Oh, your kid passed away." Like she was like all freaked out. I'm like, "It was my cat." And she was like, "Oh." She thought it was a bit, but it felt like that. Like well, I'm sure obviously I'd be much different if it was my child, but it still was so devastating because like you just love them so so much, and even though they're a dog or a cat, like I feel like dogs and cats are good ways for people to feel safe, to like love unconditionally, and I think that's why it hurts when we lose them, because we're always like, oh, should I give as much to somebody? Are they going to give that back to me?
I'm gonna clone Sully. I did.
You can.
I told Susie I want to. You know how many people were mad at us when we freaking we snipped him? Everyone's like, you should have had at least a set of. You guys should have at least had a set of babies before you guys clipped him. But Susie was like, no, because Susie's like, all these people that start breeding dogs, they start selling them, and then people that they sell them to end up not fucking taking care of them. Like you
Take
end up
them to the damn pound.
Yep, you end up seeing these damn dogs like fucking caged up and like or fucking out on the streets and stuff like that. So Susie was like, nope. She's like, we're snipping this sucker. But now I wish you would have at least had one.
One puppy.
Yeah, one other little Sully.
Oh well, he's sorry. Gosh dang, man, this heat really jacks you up. Yeah, I know. Now I got you going too. But I always look at. I have a picture of Oliver, and I'm like, oh, I wish I miss that cat so much.
Maybe he came back as Guillermo.
You know what I think? Because since we've lost Oliver, we've gotten Apollo, we got Guillermo, we got Nando. Miko doesn't really count.
Miko's from the streets.
That fool is like the freaking. He's like Tupac on that movie Juice. Like he's just out there wilding out, crazy wild. He belongs to the streets. He does what he does.
We'll be leaving your house, and Susie will be yelling at Miko from outside.
He's on the roof, huh?
Should be telling him to get inside.
He goes on the roof of our house, our neighbor's house, and he literally will beat the shit out of any cat in the neighborhood. So our neighbor, she feeds like 10 stray cats. She's like, none of the cats come back now, and I'm like, Miko's doing the Lord's work. But every night we hear a cat fight, and it's him, and then he comes in and he's like all scratched up. But they all have like certain qualities of him. Like Apollo follows me around the house constantly. He is like sleeps with me every night. If I get up at nighttime and go towards my room, there he is. He starts going. Guillermo is the one that during the day he'll want me to hold him. He'll cry for me in the morning, but he's not as like attached to me as Oliver was. Nando is so the other thing about Oliver is that when we got him, my best friend, Laura, who I lived with, we got 2 cats. We got Beatrice, we got Oliver, and she took Beatrice when we moved out. I got married. She took Beatrice, who was like this little black and white cat. She was like so moody.
Beatrice, what the
hell? Laura would call her Bitchatrice because she was like a little bitch sometimes. She's passed on too. Like she passed away like a few years before Oliver. Oliver was like just very social. We would literally have parties. People would be drunk, pass out on the couch, and there'd be Oliver just watching it happen, walking through the party all chill. Like he was a very chill cat. Like, and that's Nando. Like he's like walking around the house chilling. He's so funny because we'll have movie night and he never fails. He runs across the wall behind us and everyone's like, there's your cat. And then I'll try to get him and he'll run away from me. He's such a little demon cat sometimes, but I
think he's gonna end up like Miko. He's gonna be a thug.
Well, he is also very pampered, so I think he like needs to, come inside. He's really funny because at night he'll like his tummy rubbed. He'll lay on his back. He loves to snuggle. He likes just to be held and to fall asleep. But I think we got him during the pandemic, and I'll never forget. We were kind of like fostering them, and Nando jumped on the couch next to Frank, sat next to him. He was like a little fat, chubby, kitten. And Frank was watching the World Series. it was the only year the Dodgers won the
Hey,
World Series in the
don't, you know,
2000s.
I think that you are secretly a Dodger fan. I tell Susie all the time. I say Lydia is a secret. She's secretly a Dodger fan.
I'm not, but
I've never met anyone. Well, I've met a few people actually that really hate the Dodgers, but I think that you're secretly a Dodger fan, and you're okay to come aboard. We welcome new fans with open arms.
I I don't hate the Dodgers. I deeply dislike them. I don't hate anything. The only thing I do hate is homophobic and transphobic people.
And Trump supporters.
Yeah, but other than that, so
So Nando watched the World Series with Frank.
and he does this. He'll watch TV, like he'll just go next to Frank and watch TV with him, and then he used to jump up on, like, Frank would hold him and he would jump on his shoulder while Frank was like working. So Frank would be typing and he'd be on his shoulder, like bien chismoso, looking at his computer, like, what is he doing? And I just will never forget, like, he would always want to sleep next to Frank. So Frank would, like, put his little arm out and he'd, be laying right next to him. And Frank did not grow up with animals. I don't think he ever had a pet. And honestly, listen, this goes especially out to my Mexican people that have dogs that stay in the backyard, never bring them inside, or they don't like cats because they say they're evil and they have the devil in them, which is what my grandma used to always say. And we raised our child with animals, and I feel like animals give you this level of empathy. And I think also it takes a really special heart to have an animal because they're so vulnerable. And if you're really taking good care of your animals, like, that's building the empathy in you.
You know, I got to give a big shout out to someone who is amazing with her dogs, Liz.
Oh yeah,
All the way in Arizona. She loves her dogs. Like, she has Luna, Dino, and Shorty, who passed away. Rest in peace, Shorty.
Oh, Shorty.
But she is amazing with her dogs. Like, she has, and it's in Arizona, but they they sleep outside. She'll bring them in once in a while, but she has like this big old pool for them to go in. She has misters for them. She has a fucking outside AC for them. Like, so, she takes really good care of her dogs. But then you have other people who, like you say, neglect their dogs and just have them outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's when we go back to where Susie didn't want to, have Sully,
Yeah.
have babies, because she's like, there's people that want dogs and they're all lovey with them in the beginning, and then they fucking
Yeah, once they get to be older, they're not babies anymore. And animals are so much work. Like, I feel like, honestly, in some respects, our dogs have been more work than our child. And it's, because it's like there's never a time when you'll be like, hey, here's $40 and a pizza, we'll see you later. You really have to take the time with them. But again, I feel like for me, my animals have always come at times where I haven't had the skills to deal with something that I'm struggling with emotionally, and they really helped that process for me. Like, they've helped me to, which is probably not the the healthiest thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to get a cat because I'm feeling this way. I think some of the reason why I got, like, Charlie is because, like, when we couldn't have another child, I felt like having someone else to take care of, would really help that wound. Because, like, when you can't have kids, or you can't have kids anymore, like, yes, you can process that, but at the same time, it's like, well, then what do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get
there's always going to be that, like, hole in your heart, which is why I have 6 animals. Now obviously I've been able to process that and heal from that. Like, there's so many kids in our life, like our godchildren, my nephew, that have really sort of helped heal that piece. It's like, yeah, sometimes having kids in your life that you're helping to raise or helping to, share your wisdom with, or to help, support, like that comes in different forms. Like it might not be your own child biologically, but it might be, you have those relationships with godchildren or with your nieces or nephews,
Yeah.
or you have 4 cats and 2 dogs.
2 big dogs.
But I feel like for me, like I I have quickly realized I think God had a plan for
To
he's
be a
like
cat mom.
he's like, bitch, you don't be wanting no 6 kids, even though you think you did, and I just I especially no tea, no shade, no lemonade to my dogs, but my cats, I love them so much. I think because they're just they play hard to get. That's probably part of it.
So your cats are your favorite.
Well, no,
Well, it's a good thing
I
Charlie
love my
and Apollo are
dogs.
outside and they can't hear you say this.
No, I do. I love them. And sometimes I'm like, Charlie, please, please. She's very thirsty for attention.
So is Sophie.
I'm like, girl, what did we do wrong?
I think Sully came at the right time, for both me and her, because um I think we got Sully a little bit it was either a little before Lito passed away, but then when Lito passed away, like I think he was, when Susie would be at work or whatever, it was just me and Sully, and just, him being there, you know, talking to him and stuff like that helped me out a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I know he helped Susie a lot as well, because Susie would cry a lot and she would hug him and, like cuddle him and stuff like that. And now Sophie, um, she loves Susie so much. Like that dog is loyal. Like she is loyal to Susie. Like she will follow Susie everywhere. Like if Susie gets up to go to the restroom or something, there she goes. When Susie got her surgery recently, Sophie never left her side. I mean, the only reason why she would stay away was because Susie's mom was like, no, she'll jump on Susie and hurt her. So, but I know it's gonna hurt Susie when we get them out of the room, because they sleep with us, not on the bed and stuff, but they have their own little bed. But they're gonna have to go. Susie's mom's like, they're gonna have to go because Sophie will bark if she hears any noise. She'll bark, and you've heard her bark. That
Yeah,
little
she'll
bitch
scare
barks
the hell out of
fucking
your baby.
loud. So I
Yeah.
told Susie, like, no, it's time for her to go. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
both of them, because Sully will
Not go
bark too.
away from the home,
But
just to
from the room.
clarify, but from the room.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it is hard. Like we've kind of been transitioning our dogs like out of the room too, because we've noticed that our sleep has been affected by that. Like, because Apollo, okay, first of all, Charlie barks at everything,
Yeah.
and that dog can hear everything.
And her bark is scary.
Her bark is very loud, and okay, I'm sorry, but when I sent you guys this, I sent them Susie and you and Frank as a ring video of me yelling at her because she scared the fuck out of me. Our mail person comes every day, same time. This bitch be barking and barking at, and I'm like yesterday, was it this morning? I'm like, please leave that man alone. He is just trying to do his job. This dog is freaking barking like Cujo. Like literally, that's how she sounds. She sounds like, and so anyhow, I was sitting in the living room, and when you're sitting on our couch, you can see the male person because it's facing our front door, and I'm sitting there just chilling, enjoying my morning iced coffee, and this dog fucking goes ham right next to me. So it's super, super loud, and I'm like, God damn it, Charlie! But the windows were open, so I know the male person heard too. And then I was so embarrassed because like she kind of, I think, got a little like startled because I started yelling at the dog. But you could hear it from the ring camera, and I'm like, this freaking dog just scared the crap out of me. But too, I think she's so hyper vigilant because she's so protective of us. Like she just loves us so much. I don't know about Apollo because Apollo literally will just look around like, what's she barking at?
That's like Sully. Someone can fucking come in the house and rob us, and they'll just be looking at, like, wanting to get petted by these people that are robbing us and shit.
Yeah.
But Sully's the same way with the mailman. Like, he fucking flew out the window the other day. You saw the video. That shit was, it was funny, but I mean, it was scary at the same time. Because
Yeah.
imagine he would have left, or he would have ran
Somebody
across the
would have
street,
grabbed
or
him
grabbed him because he loves people. So if
because he's a
someone would have,
little white dog, and
yeah.
Mexican people be loving their white little
So if
dogs.
he would have like ran up to someone that was calling him, he would have left, and we would have never seen him again.
Yeah, well, we saw that Ring video too of him falling.
I didn't think it was funny the first time, but after that, I guess
It was pretty funny. The only reason we're laughing is because he's okay. He obviously.
And I was knocked out when this happened. So,
well, it's funny because Susie was like just chilling, and she's on her phone, and he puts his paws up to the screen. And
he fucking literally flew out the damn fucking window.
Pew! Yeah, it was funny, but I think it's so nice that like we have these animals that have just provided like comfort,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that have like emotional support animals. And I think like for my dad, his cat Buster, she's a little asshole. Okay. Sorry to say it. I love cats so much, but that cat, she will literally give a dirty look. Like she hates me.
I know. When we walk over here, when we walk inside,
she has a fucking sangrona face, like Sourpuss City. And she's like all the time.
I don't really care for cats. Well, now I do because I think it's because of you guys. You know what I'm saying? But before I was fucking scared of cats too. Like they would fucking run after us at Lita's house. You know what I'm saying? But these guys are nice.
Those are feral cats, man. Like freaking Miko probably has already scarred like half of the kids on our block. Because Nando's like a lover. Yeah. So Nando's just like chilling, and freaking Miko will come in and he's so rough. Like he'll come and attack him, and he's all scared. Guillermo.
And
Guillermo's watching us, judging us fiercely.
And then there's Garfield over here.
Yeah, he's
the
funny.
Real Garfield.
You can tell like he's learning how to trust us more, and he's becoming like more feeling secure because he'll cry. Like he's more demanding.
Yeah. Well, I heard him right now.
I know. I'm like, all right, I'll hold you. Like sometimes he just wants me to hold him and cuddle him up and stuff, or he wants a treat because we bought these treats for them. They're called, first of all, they stink. They smell like tuna fish, like serious tuna fish smell.
There he goes.
Oh, he's on the move. Watch out, buddy. And he I'll just like shake the packet and they'll just come running. It's like cat crack.
Oh, shit.
Like they'll start like biting the package and everything. So, but I think it's been nice. Like there's different ways in which people can heal. And I feel like, some people use music, some people, I think a lot of people should go to therapy to start their process and like process their trauma with a professional, like get some skills. But I also think there are other ways in which we need to continue our healing. Yeah. And, there's lots of modalities out there now, like, sound baths or.
Oh, we still gotta go do that.
I know, man. We still haven't done it yet.
Crystal and Merlin. Or Crystal had actually invited me one of those. So maybe we should get with them, see if they know of one.
Ooh.
That would be fun.
Yeah, sound baths, meditation. Like there's so many other things, like people do yoga, like to regulate your body and all that stuff. But I think too, one thing that can help is definitely like practicing like these relationships with like our animals, like loving unconditionally, loving and accepting love. Like I think that's one of the things that we oftentimes have trouble with, is like letting people love us.
Yeah,
because we feel like well, and sometimes we feel like, oh, we're being a burden to somebody, so we don't allow them to like love on us.
I think I was like Frank though too. Like it's crazy how attached I've gotten to Sully, because I didn't really have dogs. Like Lita had dogs. You know what I'm saying? Lita had dogs, but I've never had a dog of my own. So when we got Sully at first, I was kind of like, well, he's for Susie, you know what I'm saying? But then after I got attached, like even the first trip we took to Mexico, her family was asking us to stay another week, and I was like, no, I want to go home to
My
Sully.
dog.
I kept asking for Sully. Like my little brother took care of him, and I would text all the time, like, "How's Sully?" Send me pictures, like, and it's crazy because it's a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so crazy to me. Like, or when or whenever we go somewhere, Susie fucking wants to. If Susie could take them everywhere, she would fucking have you too. I bet. If you can take your pets anywhere you could go, that's Susie. She wants to take them everywhere. Like the only reason why they don't go to the store is because Sophie would be barking at everybody that passes by.
Well, I think if you exposed her more to more things, then maybe not so much, right? But two, I think like we just love them. We love them
Yeah.
so much, and it's like they're. And I think when we love kids and babies, like it's the same way because we get that unconditional love. And then when they start getting more what we call like autonomous, where they're making their own choices and they're making their own opinions, then sometimes our love will shift where we're like, okay, you're starting to be this way or that way, whatever. When it's like, what's the risk of us loving someone unconditionally if that's what's in our hearts?
That was beautiful.
Uh,
I think the dogs sense though that there's something coming home. You know what I'm saying? Like soon. Like
oh,
they
like baby.
yeah. Because
You
I
should get him a
remember
little doll and start practicing.
well Susie says like she keeps saying like where's the baby and they both turn around like also like I think she says it so much now like they're both
They're
like
all
turn
the
around like
fuck.
what the fuck is that?
What baby? What?
I think Sophie will be like whatever. I don't think she'll care, but I think Sully will be crying because he'll want to be by the baby because
I think Sophie is gonna be the dog that's gonna take care of the baby. It's gonna be Sophie's gonna be the one wearing the little hats and the tea parties
oh yeah.
with her massive underbite. Aw, she's so cute though.
Susie wants
She's gonna be like the little dog in Despicable Me. A big old fucking underbite in the tea party.
Susie wants to fuck Lita bought us like this big old pack of like a bunch of bows.
I saw them. I'm like, did she buy all the bows in the Eastern Seaboard
like,
or what?
She bought a bunch of bows for the baby. And as soon as I got them and I showed them to Susie, the first thing Susie wanted to do was put one on Sophie. I was like, no, those are not for Sophie. Those are for the baby.
Oh.
She's like, there's two of each. So Sophie will get one and the baby will get another one.
Oh, they can match.
Nah.
Oh, that would be cute.
Match from the
Vanita
other
and
room.
Sophie BFFs. Sullivan's like, whatever. Ugh.
I remember how they used to put the twins bows on Sully and he would look like a girl. Like big time.
He looks like every time it's so crazy because his eyes look like a person's eyes.
I always tell Susie that.
Like literally,
like
it kind of trips
like,
me
I
out.
always tell Susie I think like Lito came back as Sully. I'm not even kidding. Like I always tell Susie like, and he loves Lita so much. Like whenever Lita will come to the house, like he cries and he'll like wait for her to sit down on the couch and then he'll come over and he'll lay on Lita and he will not leave her side. Like they stopped by the house last week and Lita was sitting down and as soon as she got there, like he was crying. Like we hadn't even opened the door yet. She wasn't even out of the car and he was fucking crying. And as soon as he saw Lita come out, like he lost his shit. I saw Susie, I think Sully's came
That's
back as
crazy.
Lito.
Well, you never know because, like, there's always people that strongly believe in reincarnation, like Buddhists. Buddhists believe in reincarnation, and
But his little human eyes, I'm happy someone else sees it.
Speaking of Buddhists, when we went to the Japanese festival, it was like a Buddhist church because Japanese traditionally are Buddhists. And so we went into the temple just to check it out. And, we have stopped practicing Catholicism because they're homophobic and transphobic.
Yeah.
And so I was, we've kind of been thinking about like, okay, are we going to go back to church? Are we going to find a church? Like, I think religion hasn't been a huge part of our life, like in a meaningful way. I think it's been a huge part because, when you're Mexican, there's so much that revolves around that. And so Emilio and I went into the church because they had a pride flag. And he was like, they have a pride flag? And I said, you also have to know there's a lot of churches out there that are, inclusive and accepting. And so, and we went in and they had a pamphlet like talking about the church and what they believe, like what the Buddhist like values are and stuff. And it's basically like, we, live in this world and it's basically, their belief is like you're like trying to help people transcend past this idea of, well, I have a house, I have a car, that's happiness. Like it's like higher than that, like, and they had a little section on the bottom that was like, we accept all people regardless of their gender identity, their sexuality, their, and I just thought that was really amazing that they said that, because right now it's just so hard because, imagine going to a church your whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was what I'm telling you. I think I said on the Pride podcast, how I would always go to church with my parents on Sundays, and then I cut my hair, and that was it. Like the priest would every time had something. My dad would always want to be sitting in the front, so whenever we would sit in the front, like and the priest would make eye contact, like he would start go off subject and start talking about
He was all gay people are going to hell.
yeah, he was
And
still
you're
talking about gay
like,
people. I was like, I'll see you there, sir.
probably. I mean, I don't know. And I wonder too if like that's a reason why your dad got mad you cut your hair, because it was like then you were really out there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're really identifiable.
Probably.
They're like, ain't no doubt,
No, I don't. I think everybody knew though. Like I mean, him
girl.
too. Like, how do you not know? Like, I was probably looking at the same lady you looked at when she walked by the store, like at the store. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
Oh my God! Did I tell you who Francisco's teacher is?
yes, you did.
My elementary school crush was a teacher, and she is now my little cousin's teacher. So
This fool over here trying to revive your kindergarten
I
crush.
swear, I was like, when my aunt told me, she's like, "You'll never guess who Francisco's teacher is," and I was like, "No way, Miss Franks." And she was like, "Yeah, it is," and I was like, "What the?" And I told Francisco like, "Hey, your teacher's pretty hard." He goes, "I don't know." And I was like,
He's like, I'm just trying to learn my ABCs. What you talking about, girl? You're gonna be all up in there like, I'm here to volunteer.
"I'm here for the field trip." My little sandwich
I'm
bag.
free every Friday.
Yep.
And you're gonna put your kid in that school just
I told Susie that's where the baby was going to go to school, but Susie wants the baby to go where she went, which is cool because it's right around the corner from our
okay,
house.
well,
So
there's we're just making sure that no one interrupts our podcast today because there's wild
kids yelling outside,
kids
playing
outside.
Soccer.
Someone was chopping up body parts. It sounded like someone had the little chainsaw. I was like,
neighbors.
I know. You never know. You see all these people, like all these freaky people going on and doing all kinds of stuff. They're like, he was normal, and I'm like, no, he wasn't.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Well, he was fucking weird as shit.
That was a good show, though.
I know, but it was just that's so disturbing. I think someone needs to do like a study on serial killers because, like, a lot of them are white men. And like, there's this new serial killer in Staten Island. That's why if I see a fucking white guy that looks like Jeffrey Dahmer, I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of here because it's just disturbing.
And there's a lot of fucking sex trafficking, like kids. Did you hear about the house that they ended up breaking into, and there was a bunch of kids in the house?
Oh my gosh!
I fucking tell my sister all the time, like, make sure that what she does because she's really good with the kids, but I always tell her to keep the kids close to her.
I know.
Like,
I just think it's so weird that all of a sudden it's like everyone's always talking about this when it's kind of been going on for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like they're kind of, I don't know what's going on, but definitely I think it does speak to also just so much like unresolved trauma that people have that they start to like victimize people. Like they've been victimized, so they continue this like cycle. And it's like you have to either get, you know, the support or help you need. I think that, you know, if you don't have the support you need, that's when you can go down that road that you're, you know, people are getting into these, you know, these activities that are so harmful to other people, and you know, stuff like that. And I just think, you know, when we are able to process trauma or have people that are really supportive, like you had your grandparents, you know, that really, I think, helped supported you, like your grandma. You know, it's like you just also need that one person who believes and validates what you've been through.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there, you know, there's really, I just think about, you know, the fact that there's so many people that are, especially on social media, that are like trauma dumping. And that's where people are, and which I think is different. You know, what we're trying to do is we're not telling all these details of our traumatic events. We're just saying we've been through these things. This is the things that we're doing to heal ourselves, but we're not like going into detail about our trauma, because number one, it's not helpful for other people. It actually could trigger other people who are listening. And number two, it's like I had this mentor that when I did like training, who would always tell me like, why are you telling this story? Is this story to help you or to help the people that you're telling the story to? And I always think about that, especially when we're talking about, you know, like the stuff that's going on in our lives. Like, you know, how much do we hold back because, well, it's not anybody's business? How much is helpful to people so they can at least identify with a similar event and hear about the strategies that we're trying to do to protect ourselves from re-experiencing that. And I think that like I I was, which I need to really reduce my time on like, you know, TikTok, but like when I'm posting stuff for the podcast, you know, like I'll scroll through and this one girl's like literally she's like, get ready with me while I tell you how my husband cheated on me. And I'm like,
What the
girl,
fuck?
fucking please go to therapy. Like this is obviously an open wound for you. I can see her talking about like, you know, my husband cheated on me. It was unfortunate, but this is the things I'm doing to heal. Like that's helpful to people. But I feel like people are trauma dumping as a way to work through their trauma.
Or to get likes and get followers and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then there's people who are using trauma as like a way to engage people, like salacious, you know, content. And it's like, well, number one, that's not very trauma informed. You're probably re-traumatizing people that have been through that experience. And number two, how does that story serve you in healing and moving on with your life? Because there's some people, there's this one lady, literally her whole platform is like her her story about how her mom and her ex-husband had an affair. That's what, girl. And you know what's so crazy? There's like three women, all blonde, who have the same story. And I'm like, this is weird. Like, there's really mothers out there doing this to their children. Like, it's so crazy. But it's just like this dumping of like, let me just keep telling this story. And I think one, probably for some people, I feel like that's a way for them to shame the people that have hurt them, which I really try not to do that in my own retelling of stuff. I'm sure I've done that before, right? But at the same time, it's like, you know, we have to figure out how we're going to change our own story, because I feel like if we're telling the same story all the time,
Yeah.
I think for me, and this is just something like it had clicked this weekend. I've decided like I'm going to stop telling the story, because and I think it was a way for me to kind of like prove that I am not the bad guy in this.
I think a lot of people know that you're not the bad guy unless you're in that group that you are referring to. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I always thought that I was a bad guy when it came to my family, you know what I'm saying? And after the podcast like went out and, you know, I got hit up by family members and like friends and stuff like that, um like I said, like I mentioned one time on the podcast too, like someone told me like I didn't even know you were going through this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I just thought you guys were all so fucking close, also like, and it's like because that's the way you're raised to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you're raised to show people that you're okay, that everything's okay, that we're perfect. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And that's not the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, some of the relationships that I've had lost, you know what I mean? Like before I started the podcast, like a lot of them like are getting better. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that, you know, will they get even better? I hope so, you know, and if they don't, then I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like going to therapy and, you know, talking about everything that's going on has helped me become a better person and has helped me be okay with whether these people stay in my life or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I think that I don't think you're the bad person, Lydia. I really don't. Like, I just think that, you know, there comes a time where you get tired of having to fucking take like keep everything inside. And I think you've done that for a long time. And like I always say, I feel like you and Susie were on the same boat. And I think that Susie as well, you know, would always take a lot of bullshit. And I feel like she felt like she had to because she's my partner, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's how
Yeah.
you feel too. But I mean, I think it's okay for you to still talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it's okay for you to still talk about what hurts you or what's bothering you, you know what I'm saying? Or what's helping you become a stronger person. But I don't think you're a bad person. And I don't think a lot of people think you're the bad person if they know the real story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and I saw something this weekend and it was like, don't get into this place where you're like telling your story to prove to other people. You just have to like let it go to the point where you're like, those who know me, and they're gonna know what kind of person I am.
Yeah.
And those who don't are still going to believe whatever they want, and you can't control that. Like I cannot control how people are going to perceive me or perceive the situation.
Yeah.
And so I think I try to control that by saying like this is why I'm doing what I'm like, almost like having to justify why I'm reacting in a certain way, when it's like, well, but you're not me, you don't know how I feel about this, you don't know like how many times I've had to deal with this or whatnot. But two, it's like I have to I think I just like have to get to this point, and I feel like I'm very close to getting to this point where it's like people are just gonna believe what they're gonna believe, and it's not my job to prove my worth of having respect, of having, you know, it's like you don't gotta like me,
Yeah.
you know?
Because imagine if we sat here and tried to prove ourselves. You know,
I
we would
know.
fucking be here like all fucking day.
It'd
You know
be
what I'm
like
saying? Like,
episode
yeah.
51.
And I think you and Frank are better off now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, on your own. You know what I'm saying? Like away from all that drama. And I mean, I wasn't even part of the drama that you guys were in, and I fucking like people fucking pushed me away. You know what I'm saying?
They pulled you into the
Yeah,
drama.
and you know what I'm saying? But I don't feed into all that shit. Like, bro, you want to be mad, be mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone that I thought was close to me ended up fucking, you know, deleting me and doing all this other crap. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it's like that you got your own issues, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got your own issues. Take care of that shit, and then whenever you're ready to come and talk, then we can talk. You know what I mean? And I think that's how you should be too. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
with my family too. Like, you know, I miss my brother, you know what I'm saying? Like I miss talking to him, and I always get asked. I actually got asked today, like, oh, like how is your family? How's your brother?
Yeah.
I don't talk to my brothers, you know what I'm saying? Like one of them, I don't even know why we don't talk. You know what I'm saying? Like we were
Yeah.
so close at one point. And the other one, well, he knows what's going on, you know what I'm saying? But we're never gonna sit down and have that talk because he's too prideful, you know what I'm saying? And in his eyes, he's not wrong. And I can sit here and cry and keep talking about this shit on the podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not gonna get me anywhere. So I'm just kind of like, whatever. If we end up talking someday in the future, and you know, he hears me out and I hear him out, you know what I'm saying? Then cool. If we get close again, then that's cool. If not, then that's just part of life,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and I think too, it's hard when you like want to, like, if you have the emotional capacity to do that work and you're like, yeah, I want to do this. Like, I want to repair the relationship, but those people are never going to be in a place where they emotionally are willing to even accept their part
Yeah.
in it or apologize. Like, apologize not just to pacify someone, because I think that's a mistake a lot of us make, is like, I'm sorry, because I know that
No, you need to
I'm
you need
sorry.
to
Yeah. Well,
realize what you
what are
did. You know what
you
I'm saying?
sorry for? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's like the big thing. It's because it's like, we can apologize, and people do it all the time, like, oh, I'm sorry. But it's
But
like,
do you know what you're sorry for? You know what
yeah,
I'm
what are
saying?
you admitting to?
Yeah. Cause like, when me and Susie talk sometimes, like Susie would tell me, like, if you miss your brother, call him. You know what I'm saying? But I told her no, because he if I tell him and I repeat to him again why I felt the way that I felt, why I took him off social media, why I distanced myself from him, he doesn't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he won't get it because he has his own beliefs, he has, his thoughts, and as everybody else does, you know what I'm saying? But to me, it's like, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah, it's hard.
and I love my family, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a big heart, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I love them and I will always be there for them, whether if they need me or whatever. But to me, it's like, I didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm at peace with that. You know what I'm saying? And I think you should be too, because you have done nothing wrong. They might have labeled you as this villain in their stories, you know what I'm saying? But you're not the villain, because people people tell their story, and it's basically most 99% of the time it's fucking lies. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Especially when you have others that are backing them up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and part of uncovering like the dysfunction and saying like, hey, you know what, this isn't the healthiest thing we're doing over here. And it's hard because, like, even for my own family, I point out a lot of stuff that's unhealthy, or like, hey man, like, that's, and one of my sisters was like, you're always so negative, you're always telling us what we're doing wrong. And it's like, because you guys keep fucking doing it, even though I'm telling you, like, I don't want you to talk to my kid this way, I don't want you to say this, I don't want you to talk to me like this. It's like, well, then and you keep doing it, I'm gonna keep telling you.
Yeah.
But then I think the emotional maturity of being able to say like, hey, I'm I know I need to change that and I'm working on it, or like, I didn't realize that that hurt you and I apologize and I'm going to work on that. Cuz like, number one, we can't be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think people get so wrapped up into this idea of they have to do everything perfectly the first time. So when you call out bad behavior and they know they can't do it, like, that's something they have to work on, it can put a lot of people in that defensive place, and I think that's going to be, those are the hard conversations. A lot of families just want the tension to be done, everyone to go about their business and not ever talk about what happened, but it just builds up and builds up and builds up,
I
you
think I
know.
did that for so many years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did that for a long time, and never got anywhere until finally I put my foot down and said enough is enough.
Basta.
Yeah, but
Well, I mean, it's hard because well, it's not hard, because I think you can still be Christian, you can still believe in God and not be homophobic,
yeah,
or at least, I think when people are literally saying things that are derogatory about you and a part of you, like, you being gay is not everything about you,
yo soy gay.
but it is a part of you. And if I were to say like, oh well, I don't like that you're gay. It's like, well, you're telling me you don't like a part of me. Even if, there's people that are always like, well, I love you, but I just don't like gay people. It's like, but I'm a gay person.
Those are my people, man.
Yeah. And so I think that's where people are missing it. Like, they're not seeing that part. I mean, there's people I have been seeing people, um, on my social media that are liking stuff that's very transphobic, and I'm like, motherfuckers, I have a trans child over here,
Oh shit!
and your fucking ass is about to get deleted.
Delete those fuckers. You don't need them.
You know.